Let me give you a quick introduction of myself. I am Anand Khanzode. I am right now working in Qatar Petrochemical Company as Head of Learning and Development Department. I'm basically a mechanical engineer with Masters in Energy Management, and of course from the land of Nagpur, born and brought up, educated over there. Did my degree from Amravati Government Engineering College, and then later from Indore I did my Masters. So, and was very closely associated with Davi sir, who is right now with the Bajaj Institute Wardha, and we worked together for a long number of years till 2008, and after that I left and then I went to Bombay, Pune, in different industries, and then from last 7 to 8 years I'm outside India. For 5 years I worked in Saudi Arabia in a company called as SABIC, which is one of the largest petrochemical company in the world. Unfortunately, from Nagpur and from the journey to Mumbai and Pune, I could able to reach over there. And Saudi Arabia, when we say that we feel, oh, it may not be a good place, but to my experience, it is one of the best place to work. If anybody get an opportunity, of course, there are some stories, some restrictions are there. The rules are quite stringent, but it doesn't mean that life is difficult. There is a big Indian community staying over there, and they have different groups. All celebrations are happening over there. So just to share with my experience over there, and from last 2 years, I'm in the working here in Qatar, Doha, so it's an opportunity to share with you what is happening in this sector. Just a quick overview. I have only total 13 slides with me. Out of that, 11 are more significant because the first slide is a title and the last slide is a thank you slide. So I will not take much of your time, maybe 30 minutes. And of course, question answers are always welcome, and interaction. I always prefer to focus more on that. Even I will be sharing with you my WhatsApp number and my email ID. You can connect me for any queries related to the Gulf region and queries related to petrochemical or chemical engineering industries. To start with, today the topic is related to the oil pricing. To understand what is this oil pricing is all about, and the reason for taking up this topic is all of you must have heard about in the month of March and April that the oil prices have gone negative. So initially we thought of it, and whenever something happens, we get a lot of WhatsApp messages and the jokes. And in fact, that's the reason why we are in touch with the current affairs, what's happening all around. But sometimes these messages are misleading, and we are not sure what is exactly happening, and we don't spend time to look into the depth of it, what is all that issue is all about. So now it's related to the oil pricing. Let's try to understand the meaning of a negative price of the oil. So some of you may have thought like, okay, I will go tomorrow morning to the petrol station and I will ask him to have 2 liters of petrol, and he will give me 2 liters of petrol and 100 rupees note. So it's not like that. So that is what we would like to, we are going to study here. We are going to understand the concept of it. And it was like, that some of you may be thinking that it's only because of COVID, but it's not only because of COVID. There are multifold reasons for that. That's the reason why the oil prices have gone down. And once the oil prices, as like gold is an important commodity worldwide, the same way the oil is also one of the very important commodity. So yes. So the content of my presentation is very simple, and I'm going to focus on only 4 elements. That is, let's try to understand what is oil barrel, what is the present oil production versus consumption globally and for India, and what is the meaning of oil pricing, which we are talking about. What is this meaning of negative pricing and how it whole impacts the industries. And when we talk about industry, we as an education system or an education industry, we should not call it as an industry, but unfortunately it's like an industry only because of so many engineering colleges and so many students are passing out every year. But of course it's a human element, so it should be called as in education systems or an education framework. So it also gets an effect in this whole process. And what is all related to this present scenario. So I will go quickly to the next slide. Let's try to understand. Some of you may be already aware the meaning of an oil barrel, but those who are not aware, let me give you a quick understanding of this. That every type of dealing in the global market happens in terms of an oil barrel. And one oil barrel is equivalent to 42 US gallons, which is about 159 liters of oil. Now, if I go in a market, global market, and if I'll say I want some millions of barrels, so it's not the way we trade it. So there is a trading classification of the oil, and there are different grades of oil and different nomenclature, I will call it as. So normally in the global market, the two types of oil which are sold, or which you will also find it on the stock market, that is WTI, that is West Texas Intermediate Oil, and the Brent oil. So Brent oil, actually the Brent name came from there is a sea near the UK, the Brent Sea, and that was the initial start. This quality of oil came from that place. Then it becomes this particular name is available whenever or wherever this quality of oil near to that specs are available. That's called as a Brent oil. And West Texas, you can very clearly see that Texas is in the US. So the oil which is coming from US and in the region of Texas, it is a WTI, that is West Texas Intermediate. And this Brent oil is called as is actually a superior quality of oil. It is like we call it as a sweet light crude oil. Okay, sweet oil, crude oil means what? What is sweet is low sulfur content, and light is it's a low density oil. That's why it is called as a Brent oil. So it's a sweet oil rather, we will call it as. So these are mainly the main benchmarking for the prices in the global market. I will come back again on the Brent oil and WTI oil and how it has a relation with the fall of oil or fall of prices. Then the unit, as I told you, that we all talk only in terms of barrels. So it is a million barrels per day. So the consumption as well as production is having a unit of million barrels per day. Just as a quick overview and an understanding. And those who are from a chemical engineering side, they may be aware about it, but just I thought to have this one. Now we'll talk about what are the top 5 or 10 oil generating countries or oil producing countries in the world, and what are the top 5 oil consuming countries, and what is the positioning of India in terms of oil imports. Okay, we don't export, we only import the oil. Now here are the 10 countries, top 10 countries which are producing oil. As we know that United States, Saudi Arabia, Russia are the 3 main countries. So here in United States you can see that it is 19%, that is 19.51 million barrels per day. Saudi Arabia is 11.81, that is 12%. Then Russia is 11.49, that is 11%, and then comes to Canada, China, Iraq, UAE, Brazil, and so on. So our top 10 countries produce around 71% of oil. The production happens in the first 10 countries only. Rest there is always a share of 1%, 2%, or likewise in many other countries also. And like even in India, you know that there is some level of percentage of oil is produced in some offshore wells and so on. But the percentage as compared with other countries is really minimal. Now here you can see very clearly, like those who are producing will always be having a dominance on the price. So the 3 countries of very powerful nations, US, Saudi Arabia, and Russia, they actually influence the whole pricing in the global market. And also they are responsible, or as well as they control the supply chain of the oil globally. Now top oil consuming countries, the 5 or these 10 countries are United States, China, and India. Of course, it is the consumption happens based on the population. We all know that these 3 countries have the highest population on the globe, so that's why the consumption is very high. So our consumption in India, or I will start with US. US, you can see that the consumption is 19.96 million barrels per day. And here in the last slide, you can see the United States having the production is also 19.51. So their dependency on the other countries is very, very less. Still, they are buying, they are not like they are producing the oil and they are consuming the whole oil for themselves. They are not doing like that, because finally it's a business. So what they do, they purchase the oil from the countries where you are getting the less rate, and they have a lot of storage place. They are keep on building on that, and they store it in the tanks for their future use, maybe a 5 years later or 10 years later. And then they sell the oil wherever they are getting a good price in the market. They are selling the oil to the other countries. So that's how it all goes, like a normal market for any commodity. Then China is 13.57, 14% of oil consumption. India is 4%. Then Japan and Russia and Saudi Arabia and so on. So this is all consumption pattern of the countries, which you can see. And here in India, it is 4.34 million barrels per day. And out of that, 4.2 million barrels per day we are importing from the other countries. And which are the other countries which we are importing? Is not from US, okay, because of the distance, because of other pricing issues. We purchase it mainly from Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Nigeria. These are the 4 countries from where we import the oil in India. Now let's talk quickly on, you might have, if you read the articles on this oil and gas industry, you will find that the term shale oil is used. Shale oil is nothing but the oil that it's a technology to crack the oil, to explore the oil from the rock. It's called as the shell, breaking of the rock, which is called as a shell oil that comes from that beneath the rock. So that's why it is called as a shell oil. The Shell company is a different company. It's a name of the organization, like a Reliance. That's different Shell, and this is a different Shell. The spelling is also different on that. Then there are 2 organizations which influence the pricing, supply chain, and overall stability in the oil market. That is OPEC and GPCA. What is OPEC? Is Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. There are 30 nations right now. Initially they were 15, 14, 13, so they keep on changing. And Saudi Arabia is a part of OPEC. The OPEC headquarters is in Austria, Vienna. And Saudi Arabia is a part of it, but Russia and US are not a part of it. They influence the pricing from outside. They were in this. Russia was a part of OPEC, but then that it now exit. So there's, you know, that the political things goes on at very different levels in the global associations. Then GPCA is a what do you call it as Gulf Petrochemical and Chemicals Association, which actually dictates the downstream. Let me give you an idea about what is upstream and downstream. All that is the oil which we explore in the field, offshore or onshore oil wells, and all the activities of exploration, piping, taking, drilling process. This is all called as the upstream industry. Okay, and there is a downstream is what petrochemical industry, where the whole processing takes place. So GPCA is mainly influencing the petrochemical industry and the pricing of different products in the petrochemical industry. The place where I'm working is a Qatar Petrochemical Company, which is in the framework of GPCA, and it's a petrochemical organization. To tell you, you might have heard about it. There is a big political conflict happened in the Gulf 2 years before, and Qatar is now isolated, and there is a blockade. They call it as there is no plane can travel from these countries to other Gulf countries. Like I cannot travel, or anybody cannot travel from Qatar to UAE, that is Dubai, or maybe to Bahrain, or maybe to Saudi Arabia. Before it was all open. Even the border of Qatar and Saudi Arabia was like that. People used to travel it by car. So it was so comfortable. But in between, if you would like to really go to the depth of it, you can read some news items and articles on the Google. What is this blockade of Qatar? you'll come to know that there are many reasons for that, and that's how the scenario. And but still, overall the market, because of the blockade, it has not affected in a global context. So this is all about it. And then another one is what, again coming back to oil pricing, what we were talking about, WTI fall. That is the as I told you that West Texas Intermediate is a type of oil. So the fall which happened, the fall of oil prices which happened, it doesn't happen with the Brent oil, it happened with the WTI fall. Okay, now this fall or a negative pricing is not a price on today. Okay, it's a price, it's actually a price on the stock market. It's a price on the contract papers. That means that the contract is made by the countries or the suppliers or the brokers who take the oil from one country and supply to the other country. They make a contract. Now today they will make a contract 2 months or 3 months ahead of it. Okay, so the pricing is decided at that moment of time. So the pricing which fall down is a pricing 2 months later, which was quoted that this particular broker will take the oil at a rate of say $40 per barrel. So that was a price decided that I will going to, now this is the month of June, I will going to purchase it at the end of August with $40. So the fall happened the 2 months ahead of it, that the price will go down, and that's why when it started falling, because of the reason which I will going to share with you in the next slide, people felt like, okay, it will going to fall down the way share market goes down, and when it goes down, people got panic, and then they again sell more shares, and then again it goes down like this. So the similar way it happened that when the price came down at that moment of time, the brokers who were holding the oil, who were holding the contract, when they felt that, okay, now it's coming down to $10, I should sell it off quickly, I want to get rid of it. Even if someone is ready to take it for $5, I don't want to have more losses. So that way it quickly fell on April 20th to minus 30s or $35. So that is called as a negative pricing. It is on the stocks, it is on the papers, it is on the contract, not actually on the petrol stations. So this is what the conceptually I would like to have you all to clarify. Oil is traded in future contracts, as I was mentioning you, that specify how much crude the buyer has obtained and when it will be delivered. Negative pricing indicates that the traders become so desperate to get rid of the contract that they would rather pay someone to take it off their hands than try and find a place to put the oil. Because as I explained to you, there is an upstream and a midstream. There is an upstream and a downstream, but there is also a midstream. Midstream is the storage, that is called as a midstream, means the supply chain of this whole is called as a midstream industry, which is also very huge, which also has a lot of operations, like setting up a pipeline between the two countries in a midstream industry, the setting up of a storage tanks or containers, or the barrels which are stored in a sea, means on the ships the oil is stored. So that is all comes under the midstream industry. So this is all I was just trying to explain you, that it's a future contracts which specifies how much crude the buyer has obtained and where it will be delivered. So this is just an idea about it. And what happened during the corona. Okay, let me first of all quickly give you an idea about what is today's oil pricing. You will find on the different websites like a share market or a currency market, where you will see that how it is going. See, it's not, I just spoke about the first two, but there are different grades of oil, or we call it as a benchmark in the market. Okay, so these are the different grades of oil available at Oman, and even in India, even in Dubai, and other places of US. So giving you an idea, I think this figure was in the month of May, which I put it in my presentation. But today's price, I can tell you, the Brent price is $41.02 per barrel, and for WTI it is $38.49. So just to give you and what is going on as a price, and why I think most of the in this presentation today the audience is are the teachers. From what Dalvi sir told me that there are a lot of teachers from all around Maharashtra from different institutes. I would like to emphasize here to all the teachers that always tell your students that though you are not a chemical engineer, you may be a civil engineer, you may be IT engineer, anybody, you should always, as because you are a part of the now and professional degree, part of the professional programs, you should know these figures, what is happening. Because I myself used to ask the question of the two fresh engineers, can you tell me what is today's price of oil? Okay, they should know, because it's what is today's price of gold in India if I am taking an interview in India. They should know what is the price going on approximately nearby. I am not expecting in points, but if the price is going today 41 and they tell me $100, so that means you are totally away from it. And even like the simple things which like what is the barrel, we call it as how many liters of oil in one barrel. These are the basic questions they should we have to give an awareness to students that they should learn these figures from different industries. For electrical it is different, for chemical side it is different, for IT it is different, but you may be from any branch of engineering, you should have that awareness. So please communicate to your students, it helps a lot, because that indicates that how much student is connected to the whole world. It's not exactly a current affair, but it's a part of current affairs. Now, coming back to what actually happened very recently, that is in the present scenario, that Saudi Arabia and Russia had an oil price war. They were not able to agree on the pricing, because they have to agree on some pricing which they will going to supply to the clients which are all over, spread all over the globe. And then they decided, and based on that, they will control the oil wells. Means if you produce more oil, then what will happen? The price of oil, overall oil will go down, and everybody, those producing countries like Russia, Saudi Arabia, and US will get affected. So what they do, these three countries normally talk with each other and will decide that, okay, now there is enough oil is available all around, let's slow down our wells. The oil wells, if you do some study on oil wells are like a continuous process of, from there you will get a constant supply of oil. You cannot close it like a tap water, because if you close it, take an example of Russia, where the temperature is -40 degrees, -50 degrees. If you will close the oil well in Russia, it will within few days, it will, the whole piping, whatever is done in so much of kilometers inside the earth or around, it will get frozen. The oil will get froze if it will not flow, because once it flow, then that flow will continue with, because of its temperature and everything, it will not freeze. But otherwise, if I will stop, then it will freeze, it will rupture the whole piping, and whatever the investment have been done to develop that oil well will go west, and it's in millions and millions of dollars. So that's the reason you cannot stop the oil which is coming out once the well is ready, but you can control. There are different methodologies to control, using some valves, using some mechanisms, and some technology. You can reduce the supply of oil because there is consumption is less. So when it happened in the month of March, when there is a COVID was about to come to all the countries, they realized that we need to reduce the flow rate of oil, but there is the Russia and Saudi Arabia didn't agree with each other, and they kept on moving ahead, and that made the oil to fall down. And at the same time, because the production is more and the consumption is less, and even it dropped down, the consumption dropped down, because all the air travel, the normal domestic travel, the train travel, everything got stopped as at halt. Totally, airline industry is totally at halt for almost 2 or 3 months of time. Now it's slowly opening between the countries or between the few destinations likewise, but still it's a disaster actually. And that's the reason why on 20th of April it went totally negative. So that's all about the pricing and I hope I have given justice to this, to give you a very overview idea of it, because it is a very deep subject, and you can read it, you can have lot of knowledge on this topic, and of course I am always available. If you would like to know more about it, I will be there. And of course, how this energy, the oil, there is I don't need to explain you. So energy is kind of at the base of everything. So that's why it impacts the all type of industries when there is a impact on the oil pricing. So that's the reason why it has an importance that everybody who is even in education industry, even in our education sector, or maybe in any type of business, they should know that how it will going to impact maybe an automotive industry or aviation industry or maybe a fertilizer industry. Everywhere that we're going to have an impact. Now, before I close, I will be giving you this is my details, my phone number, my WhatsApp number, my email ID, and I just started very recently a startup company. Whereas you people can collaborate, it's free for students, and of course for teachers also. There are many teachers who are very talented, because I was there in that profession before. I know they have a lot of knowledge base, but they are somewhere not very closely connected to the industries. So here in this particular platform of vCollab, which I started, that teachers can register, can share their skill sets, and my team is there in the industry, which will search the projects for you, and you can and our job is to collaborate the projects with the expertise. So this is just a quick information which I wanted to share with you, and you are most welcome to join with my organization here, that is vcollab.com. And now that's it from my side. But before I close, because I am not sure how many teachers are there in this forum right now, but I want to give you very specific 2 or 3 things which I want you to pass on to the students that will going to help them a lot. Number 1 is that you need to teach and guide the students that how to prepare a particular technical report. I hope you all remember, and now also many of the teachers who are having the very young kids, like those who are in 5th grade or 6th grade, the teachers are giving them the project that go and study about some topic and prepare some good article, paste some pictures and submit your project in the form of a poster or in the form of some particular project work. So that activity, we do it only in the school, and in the college we normally forget about it. So it's a time before they complete their graduation, they should know that how to pick up one particular topic which is going on currently, or any technology related. Take an example of artificial intelligence. Now, if you will ask anybody what is artificial intelligence and what is its scenario today globally and in the Indian market, they know what is artificial intelligence, because if you Google it out, you will have some sites and you will have some information. But we need to teach them, or ask any student that you go and I will give you 1 month, prepare the complete insight of artificial intelligence and where it stands today in global market and in the Indian scenario. Now here, what they have to do, they have to understand for why I am preparing this presentation, because I want to give the complete what is a present architecture of industry. So when you Google it out, you will get a lot of information, but we don't synthesize. So guide them how to synthesize that information, how to prepare a right flow of information, whatever the data they created, how to do the analysis of that data, how to prepare a right type of graphs and charts from that data which has a meaning out of it, and then outcome of that whole activity, whole report, and then finally the presentation. How this whole study, if any student will do it for 1 month, how he should present it meaningful, not 100 slides. It may be very few slides, very impactful. So if you will teach particular skill to student, it will going to help them in their corporate life a long way. So please, and also during presentation, my guide, Dr. B.N. Jaju, he is my mentor, guide, coach. Now he's retired. He taught me. That time he used to tell me that
we are planning to invite Dr. Jaju here in our college.
Oh, great. I will also join in that webinar.
Yes, surely you can.
So there, always ask student, prepare the script of your presentation to make it more impactful and present it in an effective manner. So these are very important skill which unfortunately a lot of students are missing in industry. That's why in education system, so when they come to organization, it takes a lot of time for them to really take about this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for covering a very salient point. And we would be happy if you can come down to our college in future when this when everything will be smooth. And thank you for a very nice and technical session, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
We'll wind up today right now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.